After getting a call from a neighbor saying his front door is open, a husband goes to his house to find his wife missing. This is my book review of Gone Girl. Really, I knew nothing about this book. None of my friends had read it, and I just knew nothing about it. I mean, the only time that I knew about it was when I heard that David Fincher was going to be making a movie about it. And I'm a Fincher fan, and I read books before the movies come out that are based on those books sometimes. So I was like, why not? If Fincher saw something that was good in this book, then maybe I'll like something about the book as well. And I actually read the book a year and a half before the movie came out, and after I read the book, man guys, I have to tell you, it's an incredible book. The good points. So, the best thing coming out of this book is definitely the writing by Gillian Flynn. Actually, is it Gillian or Gillian? Because I had a complaint by someone a few days ago that I was saying the name wrong, but I think it's Gillian. Anyways, I like the writing by Gillian Flynn because she wrote the book in such a way where I thought, in the end, after a few weeks after reading the book, I thought she was a really smart person for writing this book in the way that she did. Because right off the bat, she does a good job of making this dark sort of tone mixed with drama, mystery, and suspense. And because of those tones, I didn't really think that the story that was in this book was fake. Also thought that Gillian Flynn did a good job of making the themes of this book. Because she makes themes about the media, about marriage, about money disputes in marriage, and about appearances can be deceiving. Flynn also did a good job of making these characters in this book, because there are characters in this book that are likable and somewhat not likable and are in between a gray area. And really what I thought made Gillian Flynn smart with her writing was at first with the surprises in this book. And I'll explain myself in a second, but the surprises in this book were done so well where I was like, at first, for the first like small surprise, like, that's interesting. But then when this like other surprise happened, it was like, oh, really? And then when the big surprise happened, it was like, oh my god, are you serious? Now here's the reason why I think that the way Gillian Flynn wrote this book was smart. Because at first she writes the story as if it's a generic crime, mystery, drama, suspense type of novel. And at first I was going to make that a bad point about this book, but then after a few weeks of thinking about it, I was like, actually I think she did it on purpose, so that when the first small surprise came, it would be like sort of a big surprise, because like, oh really? It really is like the beginning of the roller coaster ride, because it's like, you're starting off on like the ground, and it's like nothing's really happening, but then as the first small surprise happened, it's like you go up like the curve that goes up towards a hill. And as these surprises keep happening, it's like you keep going up and up. And as the main surprise happens, it's like you like go down along this like roller coaster ride where it's like full of suspense and more mystery and like more drama. And really the character development and the story development in this book were done well because of those surprises, mainly with Nick and Amy Dunn. Because at first you think you know everything about Nick Dunn since Nick tells you everything about him and what he does and all of that. While with Amy Dunn, we don't know what's happening with her since she's missing, but we get these diary entries in the first half or so of the book. And when she's talking about herself and her life, you get this picture of like who she is. But when these surprises happen, it's as if they help the character development with making the final personalities of these characters. And again, it adds a curveball into the story because after these surprises happen, you're like wondering and you're asking questions as to why it would happen after you know about these surprises. Or you would ask yourself, why would this person do this after you hear one of the surprises? The final good thing I have to say about this book is the ending, because I think it's trying to be realistic with the way that Gillian Flynn ended the book. Because I think she's trying to say that not all the time you're going to have happy endings. So my final rating for the book Gone Girl is going to be 4 out of 4 stars because I think it's an incredible read and I thought the way Gillian Flynn, like I said, wrote it was smart. For some people they may not like it because for them it may be slow at times, but for me I thought I was invested throughout the entire book, especially after the first small surprise in the book. And if you're a fan of the drama, mystery, suspense type of genre in books, then I think you will not be disappointed when you read Gone Girl. Alright, spoilers for the book Gone Girl. If you haven't read this book yet, then get over now because I'm going to be ruining the surprises in this book, and don't know why you would want to hear these surprises if you want to read the book, so please get over now. Yeah, so the first small surprise that I was talking about was when we find out that Nick was actually cheating on Amy. And when that surprise came, that came out of nowhere in my opinion, because like I had to like double check to see like what I was reading, because like, wait, what? And then immediately after we find out that Nick is cheating on Amy, like he gives us the reason why he cheated on Amy. And after you read the reason why that he cheated on Amy, it's so like you sort of think at first like, oh man, he's like a bit of a scumbag. Well, actually, you did feel like he was completely a scumbag. But then as a few more smaller surprises keep happening, it's like, what is going on? And then before the big surprise happened, there was this one hint as to like what the big surprise was going to be. And that when I was like reading this hint, I was like, wait, what? And then like I was like starting to read faster, reading through the sentences, like trying to get to the surprise while like keeping focus on what I'm reading. And then when the surprise happened, like I was like hair pulling, like, oh my god, I can't believe it. And of course that surprise is that Amy is faking her death so that Nick can go to prison. And when that surprise came, I was reading the book at Barnes & Noble, and then I had a state of shock moment, and I was like looking at my sister, and I was like telling her like, you need to read this book because there is something that happens in this book where it's like, oh my god, I cannot believe it. And then she was like, yep, I'll do that. So when the surprise came, I couldn't believe it, and I was like wondering why. And after you hear the reason why Amy is like faking her death, like you sort of feel like she's a scumbag for framing her husband. Even though before you felt like he was a scumbag, but now you sort of feel bad for him because he's being framed for murder for a crime that he didn't commit. Anyways, after the big surprise and after Amy tells us like why she's doing this, like we get a detailed plan about like how she's gonna go about this. And after I read her entire plan, I was like, oh my god, you're maniacal. You're crazy in the head, and I hope you somehow mess up so that you can get arrested. And I thought that she was going to jail when she got mugged by those two people in her room. And when some other things weren't going her way, I thought she was like going to jail. I was like, yes, please go to jail. But then she sort of does a last resort type of move by calling Desi. And she uses Desi to her advantage. And then she goes back to Nick when it seems like Nick is going to jail. And Amy tells her fake story about what happened with Desi, about Desi kidnapping her and everything. And she played off the damsel in distress type of character so well, where it's like, oh my god, I can't believe she's gonna get away with this. And she did get away with it. And then later on the ending with the baby happens, and after I read the last few pages and when I closed the book, I was like, whew, man, that was something else. So that was my book review of Gone Girl. Hope you guys liked it. And other than that, guys, that's it.